Welcome back to Switsat. Last week we pondered the question whether India was a worthwhile destination for speculative investment. We looked at the United Trust of India then. Tonight we will look at an alternative called India Avenue Investment Management with Magunthan Siva. Thanks for joining us, Magunthan.
Hi Peter, how are you?
Very good, mate. Now, I am curiously interested in investing in India, and I do insist that I tell my viewers that I see it as a speculative add-on to a core kind of investment. I know you're a little bit more comfortable than I am investing in India, but who could be surprised at that? But tell us about what Harvard has said about the outlook for India.
Yeah, so there's a Harvard study that's been released recently within one of their research groups, and it shows that India's growth potential is around 7.7%, which is pretty much at the top of the charts in terms of growth of economies. The research is based on economic complexity. Now, what economic complexity essentially means is the diverseness and sophistication that's embedded in the productive capability of your exports. Now, to simplify that down, essentially it means that India's exports are quite diverse, and the potential for them to grow from internal consumption plus the complexity of their imports and higher up the value chain means that the potential to grow for the economy is quite strong.
Okay, but you know, given all my Indian friends, and you included,
yeah,
Indian people are very complex, and so is the Indian economy.
Yeah.
So the Harvard study must have got through, or must have felt comfortable with some of the progress that they've seen in the Indian economy. True?
Yeah, correct. I mean, I think you can go back to the election of Prime Minister Modi and some of the reforms and changes that are being implemented, as well as India moving really from a, cheap cost of labour outsourcing story towards, the export base has expanded into things like chemicals, automobiles, healthcare, pharmaceuticals, electronics, and so on.
Give us the elevator pitch around what your fund does.
Yeah, so I think when you look at a fund and when you look at the India story, I would think for an Australian investor, there are really 3 to 4 things to consider. One is India is a high growth market. GDP growth is high, as forecast to grow quite strongly, as we just discussed. Secondly, it has Indian equities have a very low correlation to Australian equities of about 0.3. There's reasons for that because India tends to be the antithesis of a commodity play. Finally, I think one of the most important things is when you're looking at a complex market like India, it's important to be active in your process of selection of companies. The dispersion between good and bad can be significant. So that's why our fund focuses really on active management and trying to find the best companies while being considerate of their valuations.
How many companies are in the fund?
There's 48 companies today that are in the fund.
Okay, and you recently got a Lonsec rating?
Yeah, so we were pleased to receive a recommended rating from Lonsec, which really, I guess, acknowledged the capability and background of the founders of our business, as well as, the thought process that the India Avenue team should be well placed to succeed within the Indian markets.
The volatility of the Indian stock market now and historically?
Yeah, look, I think you'd find if I said to you volatility's fallen, you could say, well, across the globe, all equity markets are now showing, very low volatility. I think, in fact, VIX is showing a single-digit number. So India's volatility has dropped too, and we think, part of that is what's happening around the globe with extra liquidity and, investment into equity markets being less volatile, but also perhaps some of the potential of India and the stability of India starting to, dawn upon investors. So I guess we've seen less of the tactical play on investing in India and more strategic investors over time.
All right, thanks for joining us on the program, mate.
Thanks, Peter.
So that's Magunthan Siva from India Avenue Investment.